One element of this reform will be to change how we tax capital gains. As you all know, that's income from selling stocks and other assets for taxpayers that make more than $1 million per year in income. In 2018, 0.3% of tax filers made more than $1 million a year. So I want to start by underscoring this in simple terms. This change will only apply to 0.3% of taxpayers, which is not the top 1%. It's not even the top 1/2%. We're talking about 0.3%. That's about 500,000 households in the country that we're talking about. So for the other 997 out of 1,000 households in the country, or the other 150 million households in the country, this is not a change that will be relevant. It won't change the tax treatment of capital gains at all. And this makes sense because for the typical Americans, most of their income comes from wages. So for people making less than $1 million a year, about 70% of their income comes from wages. But for those making more than $1 million, for the top 0.3%, it's the opposite. About 30% of their wages come from wages. And that's probably actually an understatement, since the wealthiest can often strategically avoid reporting this type of income entirely. This is the dynamic that led Warren Buffett to famously explain that he paid a lower tax rate than his secretary. And it is the dynamic that has led the president and others to argue that we need to do something about equalizing the taxation of work and wealth in this country. And importantly, the revenue from this provision would help invest directly in our kids and our families and our future economic competitiveness, and put us in a position where we can drive greater economic growth. Across a wide body of academic and empirical evidence, there is no evidence of a significant impact of capital gains rates on the level of long-term investment in the economy. If you look back over the last 30 or 40 years, we've had capital gains rates at various rates. We've seen different levels of investment and overall economic growth. You can't identify a meaningful correlation between the two.